Some of the changes are directly related to the EU accession negotiations. But others, such as relations between politics and military, or the reform of the judiciary, are also, for me, a sign that there are coming up political and fundamental changes of the political system. And at this very moment, the Turkish Grand National Assembly is debating very crucial amendments to their own constitution. I'm happy to see that also in your statements you acknowledge this change as well. And dear ladies and gentlemen, in my duty as rapporteur, I give, and I have to give, an objective but also balanced appreciation of the developments in Turkey. Today here I will comment on some of these changes, of course with particular attention for the Assyrian community. I can assure you, and that's what also stated in the reports, that I welcome the broad public debate on a range of traditionally very sensitive issues, such as the role of judiciary, the rights of minorities, the role of military, and also Turkey's relations with neighbors. The simple fact that these issues nowadays can be discussed in the public domain is an important signal. But at the same time, we are waiting and we are expecting concrete reforms because they are necessary. For several years now, government and opposition are, and I regret that, in an absolute deadlock on fundamental reforms. And this mutual suspicion blocks, in my view, the whole country. And therefore, progress in terms of concrete reforms remained limited also in 2009. And in my view, real progress is only possible if there is a real dialogue between all actors in society. And that, for me, also includes its minorities. In my report in 2008 and also in 2009, I paid particular attention to the difficulties of the Assyrian community in Turkey. And as Parliament, and I had it in my initial reports, I asked the Turkish authorities to engage in a regular and constructive inter-religious dialogue. Positive steps and gestures which are announced in the past year must be followed, really be followed by substantial reforms of the legal framework. And that only can enable the religious communities to function without undue constraints. And that is, as you know, in line with the European Convention on Human Rights, but also with the case law of the European Court of Human Rights. In particular, as Parliament, we underlined the need for all religious communities to be granted legal personality. And therefore, and that's the positive step, I was happy to hear that in two separate meetings in February and also in March, Deputy Prime Minister Bülent Arınç and Minister Bacis, they recently met the spiritual leaders of the minorities and also the representatives of community foundations, including the Ecumenical Greek Orthodox Patriarch Bartholomew, the chief rabbi of Turkey, Isa Kaleva, the Armenian Orthodox Archbishop, Aram Adishan, and the Syrian Orthodox Metropolitan, Yusuf Chitin. I really believe that this can be a start of a genuine dialogue, a real dialogue with all religious minorities in Turkey. And for me it's therefore so important that the representatives of the Syrian community will engage in this political discussion. As you know, the European Parliament has frequently expressed its concern over the difficulties encountered by the Syriacs in relation to their property ownership. In particular, we expressed our great concern regarding the court cases concerning expropriation in relation to the Mor Gabriel Syrian Orthodox Monastery. And regarding the Mor Gabriel Monastery, I can assure you that not only the European Commission, but also, as Marcus Weber said, many colleagues in my EPP group are closely monitoring the court cases. And I assure you that also diplomats from many member states even attend the different legal procedures. There were one final remark. In your invitation, you refer to the resolutions which have been adopted in some EU member states. I do recognize the importance of such statements for the families of the victims and also the Syrian community. But I've always underlined, and Marcus Weber said it in another way today, that a country which does not recognize its past cannot have a future. And therefore, a frank and open discussion on past events is absolutely needed. Already a number of Turkish intellectuals have launched this discussion. Also here we see a change in Turkey. The EU, and you can count on me, has to facilitate and stimulate the discussion. But it's also, in my view, up to the Turkish society to start the process of reconciliation. And therefore, I will pay attention to the progress. I will be with you, but it's up also to the Turkish society to come up with the real reconciliation. Thank you.
Sweden now calls genocide also loses identity. Many of the intellectual, most of the intellectual, were killed. Nearly all the books and the libraries were burned. Assyrians were the few Assyrians that survived were stranded with no identity, confused all over the Middle East by the new borders, 1921 and 1924. In all that, an Assyrian organization, Assyrian intellectuals, new intellectuals, like the Honorable and most renowned one, now on fire, gave us books from the diaspora, from the US, and magazines, to remind of us, or to remind the Assyrians of who they are and what they were, not to be forgotten. 30 or 40 years later, an organization took form to give the Assyrians their right identity, to make them understand the importance of ethnic, religious, and also the importance of the language, of their language. So when they come to countries like Sweden, Netherlands, or Belgium, Germany,